Oh, yeah. Some of them will probably take a little bit longer, but other stuff, I want to get started. Big bang. People really see it. More importantly, because it hears their audience. You know, it's neat. You know, people will look at it and say, the rest success.
It's getting better, a little better.
He's on the church bench.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first meeting of Lawrence County Council for August 2020. To be noted that the press has been properly notified, the agenda has been posted, and we will proceed as prescribed. I would like to remind council to cut on your microphone so that the audience can hear in person and the audience can hear there. Additionally, for those in attendance, our council looks a little bit differently tonight. Councilman Patterson, Councilman Carroll, in order to more socially distance, we've added 2 tables, and that's where they are seated here in the council chambers. And Mr. Wood is unable to attend tonight. At this time, I will ask everyone to please stand for the invocation by Councilman Daniel, followed by the pledge of allegiance.
Pray with you, if you will. Dear Lord, we come to you once again, as humble as we know how, asking that you enter our chambers and help guide our hearts and our minds as we conduct the business of the county. Help guide us so that we may make great decisions for all of the people within Lawrence County. We pray for those who protect us here and abroad. These things we ask in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the pledge of allegiance. Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Members of council, there was an added agenda item at your desk on arrival tonight. And it is a JAG or Justice Assistance Grant for the Sheriff's Office. And that will come under new business item number C, the JAG grant application. Are there any other additions to what will now be the amended agenda? If not, is there a motion to approve the amended agenda? A motion by Mr. Patterson. Second. Second by Ms. Anderson. All in favor of approving the amended agenda, signify by raising your right hand. 6-0. Next is approval of minutes dated July 28th, 2020. The minutes have been provided for you in a packet. Is there a motion to approve the minutes as submitted? Motion to approve. Motion by Mr. Carroll. Second by Ms. Anderson. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of accepting minutes as submitted, signify by raising your right hand. 6-0. And next is a report to council. The first is the Lawrence County COVID-19 update. This time I recognize Joey Avery, who's also going to bring up some folks with him. Mr. Avery. And Joe, if you would, make sure those microphones are on.
They are.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, members of the council, thank you for allowing me to give you a brief update. I have 2 individuals with me tonight. I've got Lauren from the clerk of court, and I've got Chief Magistrate Braun, who's going to talk a little bit about the move to the Ridge, and Lauren will talk a little bit about the protocols that was put in place for general sessions. Ms. Lancaster is still tied up in court, so she's unable to be here tonight. Just give you some rough numbers here. Today, across the state, 928 new cases. Total cases for the state, 101,360. Lawrence had a total of 8 new cases today. That's the lowest that we've been in some time. And we hope that number continues on. If you look at the DHEC website by zip code, you'll see that we still have 213 cases that fall in that rolling 14-day window, if you will. So that's basically all the numbers I'll share with you, but I'm going to talk a little bit about some testing sites that we've had. Wednesday, 5 August, we had a testing site at Lawrence High School. We tested 360 people. Yesterday, August the 10th, we had a testing site at Clinton High School. We tested 204 people. We have a testing site arranged and scheduled for 19 August, and we're going to use the Exchange Club building. And it's a partnership with Clemson Extension and MUSC and DHEC. It's called a Healthy Me partnership. Councilwoman Campbell of Lawrence City will have an initiative out there also as people come in to be tested to hand out some election registration forms and census packets. And then she's going to give some information out on how they can assist them in filling out those papers if they need to. 2 September, we'll be back at the Exchange Club building, partnership with Carolina Health and DHEC. Same thing, Councilwoman Campbell will be out there also with her initiative of handing out papers. 9 September at a selected site in Waterloo that is still need to be confirmed, but we feel like we've got to go. That site will be, like I say, 9 September, will be 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Some of the previous sites that we've used, Gray Court Elementary, E.B. Morris, Lawrence High School, Clinton High School on several occasions. And with school starting back, we're not going to be able to utilize those facilities. So we got to look for other sites and the Exchange building and a couple of churches that we'll be looking at. DHEC had a new dashboard that they added to the website today. And I don't know how accurate the information is, but I'll just share this with you as I got it off the website. It says that 10,345 tests have been conducted in Lawrence County. 1,349 total cases from day 1 to present throughout the county. We've had 53 hospitalizations, and unfortunately, we've had 46 deaths in the county. So we want to continue to push the preventive guidelines from CDC and DHEC. We want to urge people to wear masks. We want to urge people to social distance. We want to tell people to wash their hands and use hand sanitizer. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, mouth. Avoid contact with sick people. If you're sick, stay at home. And clean and disinfect your work area on a daily basis. So that's a quick synopsis of my update. I'd like to call Lauren up to give an update for the clerk of court and the general sessions case that's taking place now, started last Monday. Then DJ Magistrate Braun will follow her.
Okay, so this week we summoned 300 jurors for the murder trial. Normally in a term of general sessions court, we summon about 200 jurors across the county. Out of an abundance of caution, we upped that to 100. So we split them up into 3 groups of 100 each at 9, 11, and 1 o'clock, and kind of narrowed down our jury. And then a group came back at 4. We selected our jury from there. Everybody was required to wear masks. Everybody was, their temperature was taken before they entered the courtroom. We had sneeze guards around the witness stand. We sanitized in between lunch breaks and at the end of the day. And Chief Justice Beatty was there Monday during jury qualification, and he was there at the beginning of the trial on Tuesday as well. As far as I'm aware, he approved of everything went well, didn't have any problems. don't know how much more specific you guys are looking for, but that's pretty much it.
Thank you, Lauren. Are
Yes,
there any questions regarding, how the court went this past week? Not the actual court, but just the process of getting people in and getting them out. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. See you.
Mr. Chairman, members of council, as far as the magistrate's office, we were out at 301 Exchange Drive at the Ridge for the month of August based on the current requirements for social distancing as well as the trial in general sessions court. Obviously, we couldn't have the volume that we had and kept it at the current location now. So we were able to use the Ridge out there. Thankful to Lawrence City for that. Out of that, the month of August, we had a total of 1,742 cases, and obviously today's only the 11th. So we're still in the process of doing those or handling those cases now. And I talked to Mr. Avery earlier. We're going to try to, if possible, reuse the Ridge for the month of September to let us continue to get as many cases that we possibly can through and processed while we had that facility at our disposal. Just simply for the fact that the sheer volume that we have now is still high regardless without COVID, but having to reschedule since March, we're hearing cases that we had from March and through April and May that we're rescheduling now. Currently for the month of September now, we have, as of today's date, we have 754 cases that are currently on the docket. And with each day that we have court at the Ridge now in August, if any have to be rescheduled, they'll be rescheduled to the September date. So in theory, as of right now, we had to, just since the beginning of August, we've had to reschedule over 100 cases so far. So giving it that going rate, we could have another 200 to 300, if not more than that, by the end of August that we would try to push into September. But as far as being out at the Ridge, I mean, with the support of the Sheriff's Department, they've given us deputies to handle the security portion of it. From what I've been told from the officers that are out, that come to court out there, they've it's been great to work out there. It's an open environment. They don't have to worry about people that are there who would normally be at the courthouse for anything else. And we've been able to get as many cases through the doors as we can put on the docket. Now, we have had them staggered. They would come in starting at 9, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, and so forth. But the month of September has not been staggered yet. So we will have, starting in September, if we kept it out at the Ridge, our beginning hour of court will be around 10 o'clock. So that's when the most high volume of the traffic would come through then. So for example, if you had cases on Monday and there were 300 scheduled for 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, they would all come out there at that time. Now, we haven't had obviously that many people show up for their court date because that's no different than a normal court date. But again, we're staggering for the month of August, but September is not staggered. So we'll obviously see a lot more traffic on the hours out there at that time. So we're doing the same thing everywhere else. I mean, we're doing the 6 feet apart social distancing. Mr. Avery's provided us with gloves, hand sanitizer. Mr. Allen has provided us with the mist machine, if you will, that we can sanitize the room in between the times for court, sneeze guards, and so forth and so on. So I mean, we've hit all of those marks in regards to that part of it.
Are there any questions, Chief Magistrate Brown?
I'd like to give you those numbers again. And all of these are not traffic.
These are all
All traffic?
well, traffic and criminal cases. So when you have highway patrol, I mean, highway given, say, one officer, he may write, if he writes for 2 months, I mean, he could have anywhere from 200 to 300 cases just for one person. County doesn't write as many cases because they're, traffic, obviously, you see a lot more traffic than you would other cases, but they still have, we're dealing with the cases that they're still working on now, that they're, writing as we speak, and the ones we had to reschedule since March. So we're keeping the civil side back at Hillcrest, and we're still doing that. I have 2 judges with me, or whoever's out at the Ridge. There's 2 judges out there at all times, and there's 2 judges back at Hillcrest. So they're handling the civil aspect of it. So the only thing that we're actually handling at the Ridge right now is just the sheer number of volume that we have as far as traffic and criminal cases. But those numbers, as you asked earlier, 1,742 is the total number for the month of August. And as of right now, we're looking at 754 cases for the month of September. And that will change daily every time we have a court date.
Which my math were right, that's 87.1 cases average per day through 20 days in August. That's Monday through Friday. Y'all do that Monday through Friday.
we are adding a Friday in there just to get as many as we possibly can. We're trying to take advantage of the building and the time that we have, to try to hopefully eliminate those cases, because we're still not being able to do jury trials, prelims, or anything like that. That's still on hold, so.
Certainly on behalf of Lawrence County Council, I would like to thank the city of Lawrence for allowing the master's office to use the Ridge. Very nice of them. Certainly appreciate their accommodating for that.
Most definitely, yeah. I mean, we're grateful that we had that opportunity to use that building. I did see Mayor Sin out there one time. I didn't get the opportunity to speak to him. But I've expressed that as well, because I mean, it's just, for us to be able to use that and take it and use it to our advantage, I mean, it's been a big plus for us.
I would like for Mr. Kane to write a letter and have each one of the council members sign it, to send to Mayor Sin and the members of the Lawrence City Council, for us to assign next time. Anything else for Chief Magistrate? Thank you, DJ.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Joe, anything else?
Mr. Chairman, I have one other thing, and I'm gonna ask the sheriff to come up for a second. Not only do we have to protect the public with our COVID response that we have, but we have to take care of business also on a day-to-day basis. We had a missing elderly lady on Saturday. The sheriff and his team conducted a search, but I'll let him talk a little more about it.
The lady was reported to us roughly around 4:30 a.m. She had left during the night, and they weren't sure what time she left. So that really made it tough, because the further you get behind, it's harder for the dogs and such. But we were fortunate. We got Mr. Avery. He assisted us with the maps, the grid search, with water. DNR sled come up. We couldn't get the helicopter up because the ceiling was too low, so we didn't get the helicopter until it must have been probably 10:30, 11 o'clock maybe before we get the helicopter, because it was clear here, but they told us there was a patch of fog in Columbia, so they're not allowed to lift. The ceiling's not a certain height. So between DNR road, feet on the ground, between DNR, our guys, sled, we really were blessed. We found the lady safe. So we had a very great ending to that. That's what we look for. But I appreciate all of it.
Before you leave, Sheriff, I
Yes,
want to
sir.
read this. This was the second missing persons case. The other one was in my neighborhood, and I want to read for the public. It went to our neighbor association. There was a young man who actually is born either on my birthday or the day before. And I would like to just read this in response to what we were just talking about, the missing person. It says, to all of you who came to aid in trying to locate the missing person this past Friday, a big thank you. Your support was amazing and will long be remembered and appreciated. For those of you who weren't aware of what was going on and saw sheriff deputies checking your decks, storage buildings, etc., around midnight or after, this young man was last seen by several neighbors about 7:30. His mom rode around the neighborhood looking for him for a while, and we called 911. The sheriff's office showed up in full force with probably 20 deputies, a dog, a drone, and called in sled, who showed up with another dog. A helicopter was to come, though we didn't see or hear it. The deputies, although they didn't find him, his brother did, who had driven from Myrtle Beach and got here about 1:30 a.m. and actually found him near the right of way behind a particular home in our neighborhood in Tall Week about 2:30 a.m. Amazing is all I can say. His brother was the real hero. Everyone is grateful that he is okay. His mom so appreciative to all involved, and wanted me to let me know what it meant to her to have your support and your concern. So, Sheriff, to your folks and everyone involved with both this most recent one and this past one, I'd like to publicly say thank you, and to all involved, Joey, anyone else that helped in that search, both searches. So thank you.
I also want to thank the fire service and all the civilians. We had a lot of
Anyone
help.
who helped, yes.
Sir, thank you.
Thank you, Don.
Anything else, Joey?
That's all, sir.
All right, next we'll move into the update on the courthouse dome project. This time I'll recognize Mr. Dale Sackville.
if we can make this work. Okay. I was asked to give a quick update on the progress that we're making on the dome on top of the courthouse here, so I want to do that very quickly. This is, we call this phase 1 of the restoration of the historic courthouse. Phase 1 is the dome restoration, gutter repair, fire detection system. This bid was $467,580, but we expected that it would come in closer to $700,000. So we got a very good price for this work that's being done. Phase 2 of restoring this courthouse is the exterior restoration. That would bring the exterior of the building back to its initial grandeur. And it would also install an interior elevator to make it ADA compliant to the second floor. And then lastly, if we, once we get there, the interior restoration is down the road. That would be phase 3. Now that particular phase will involve you all as council, because we're going to need you to make some decisions on the use and programming of the building, but we will be strategically planning that as the days come, and that's going to be about a $5 million project. But I would suspect that number would come in lower as well in this climate that we're in. But let's look at the dome. You'll notice on the left is the original dome before it was deconstructed. That white that you see is a white mastic coating that was put on the dome. Now what that caused was that trapped moisture inside the dome and it couldn't breathe, and it caused deterioration. Once that mastic was taken off on the right, you see the metal. Now I have in front some examples. The metal on the floor is the original historic metal that was used when the dome was constructed. The static model there is a visual of what it will look like once the new dome top is put on. You see the dome top with the mastic on it was just absolutely deteriorating the top of the courthouse. So that metal was rusted away and gone. And then on the left also is one of the main factors of the leakage with the flashing around the dome. Just a couple of pictures of the interior framing of the dome. And then you see where the mastic was lapped over all of that deterioration too. All of this was where was great sources of leakage when it would rain. That's the side wall of the dome with them replacing and reconstructing that side wall. And you see a sample of the piece back at Lloyd Roofing, who is the subcontractor for the roof. They took those pieces back so they could replicate the top that will go on. The LCDC was gracious enough to use their drone to do some flyovers and to take some photos. And I thought those were some very good photos of our downtown square. And you see the dome on the bottom right, once it has been reconstructed with the decking there waiting on the new roof. And this is a video from Lloyd Roofing.
Got to take a picture, they're gonna see a quick video.
You'll see the new tops that will go on.
It's done. So like I said, we're going, next week we'll be working on the walls and whatnot. And probably the following week, we're going to probably set this and we'll start from there on. Back down, start the bottom, work our way up. And this is that wall that we proposed to use at the base of the dome, which is the way to go, there's no doubt. You got a piece of 30 years out of it, you got to re-roof it again, you got a piece of flashing down here that comes, just pops out, then it goes right back in. And this wall, of course, would vary in size from 8 inches to up to about 36 inches around the base. Have a good day, buddy.
I do want to just thank Floyd Roofing. They have been excellent contractors to work with. Maybe I just over impressed on him that everyone coming into the downtown area from all directions would see his work. So he has been very meticulous and very responsive with the work that he's been doing. I'll be glad to take any questions you may have.
But are there any questions from members of council regarding the phase one restoration project? Ms. Anderson?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like you to go back to, the different phases there, so the amount of
Okay.
monies are. Okay, you said we in phase one now,
We are,
okay, and it been beat it out, and, you know, we got the money appropriated for that.
correct.
Okay, and phase two,
Phase two is one of the projects on the capital sales tax for November.
okay. All right, and phase three is also.
Phase three is farther out and
Well,
we,
out and that.
right.
Okay, now, because I've been seeing some, when I look around, I do see some issues, a lot of issues on the outside.
Yes,
And,
yes.
so, I was just wondering how we would really get to that. And, but have you done some, drawings for an interior type of elevator within, elevator within?
No, ma'am, we have not. And we are talking with the consultant now to give us a proposal on doing some additional work to try to help more closely do some of that design work and get closer on the actual cost.
Okay, and, but I'm just looking at the cost, more than the cost. I'm trying to make sure is it any way possible, when we meet next time, with the amount of money we spent, maybe 5 years ago, with whatever we spend, I think we need to keep up with the amount of money we spend for the restoration of the building. And I really think we need to make sure that the restoration of the building is following whatever plan we want to have for the building.
And we've got to determine that plan, or you as council will have to determine that plan. Just to throw out some ideas, you could design this room to be used as a council chambers as we are today, but have removable furniture so that you can have an event space. Okay,
I see you've been thinking.
yeah, you could have
Well,
some,
it's just a lot of things that I was looking at, that I'd like to have some more concrete information on, so.
okay,
We'll be talking.
all right.
Thank you.
Any others? Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
Next, we're moving into old business. The first is solid waste transfer station commercial fee. This is a tabled item, to be implemented before the transfer station opens. For those of you who are able to attend, we toured the construction site of the transfer station after our last meeting. And Dale, again, I'll recognize you.
Thank you, sir. Another exciting project is the transfer station that we are constructing. It is coming along quite nicely and probably faster than we anticipated. The contractor believes that he will be complete from mid to end September. Now, that doesn't mean it opens in September. We'll still have to schedule moving scales and doing some other work. And I've got Mr. Gerger, our solid waste supervisor, with us here this evening. There may be questions that he can answer that I can't. You directed me to look at what a commercial fee would be for our transfer station. We've already had some roofing contractors look at us and say that they're anxious for us to get our transfer station open because it's closer for them to come to us on Landfill Road than to go to Union, to that landfill, or to the one in Great Court. So there's transportation costs that we will bear when they bring the materials to us. Now, as of late, I've learned that the transfer station in Clinton has reopened. So that was some information that I had before or after I put this presentation together. After looking at cost and trying to determine what our cost would be for someone to bring us a load of commercial solid waste then we have to put it in a tractor trailer truck and take it to Twin Chimney. Our true cost is gonna push $40 a ton. Now, the Great Court landfill charges $42 a ton. But when we take it to the landfill in Great Court, it's at its final resting place. When they bring it to us, we then have to put it in a tractor trailer and we have to transport it on to Twin Chimney. Now, I don't want to be, I recommended matching Great Court's fee. But then I learned that the fee in Clinton is $65 a ton. I would recommend us considering increasing that $42 a ton, because we don't want to have everybody coming to us because we're the least cost. I don't think we have the resources to handle it, quite honestly. So I'll entertain your thoughts on that and answer any questions.
Are there any questions of Dale from members of council?
What falls under commercial? Would it be someone like just curious, would that be a landlord? Would that be someone that's doing construction?
It's a business.
Okay.
If a resident cleans out a home, that's residential. We take that at no cost. But it would be anything that's a business, roofing contractors, tree contractors, of course, we'll set the rate for that, but anything that would be a for-profit business, that would want to bring it to us. Now, the advantage for us over the landfill is that you've got a nice paved road. You can come to a nice constructed transfer station, empty it out on concrete floor and leave. At the landfill, you've got to go down the dirt road. You've got to back into where the landfill is being filled and get out in the dirt and the mud and the trash to empty your load. So, you know, which one would you rather do?
Are there others?
I'm trying to see what he's recommending, and he recommended that he.
I have a motion. Okay.
I would recommend at least $50 a ton.
Ms. Paxton?
Before I make it, my recommendation, and other council members can chime in, half of, or split the difference between Great Court and fee and the Clinton fee is $53.50. My recommendation would be at $54. If Mr. and Mr. Satterfield agreed that was a decent number. And we'll be happy to make a motion unless there's objection on the dollar figure. You can go 50, I'm good with that.
I personally like 50, but just because I'm thinking in terms of businesses and got a lot of businesses.
I think with Mr. Satterfield, we made the point, you know, where they go now, they're bumping across crappy roads and dirt and everything else, and we got you were out the other day, it's gonna be a nice concrete pad. I mean, that's, should have to pay a little for convenience, in my opinion.
Yeah. It's not working.
And we still have hauling costs involved.
That's just my opinion. I don't know what others think.
Because it'll increase the use it gets, which will increase wear and tear on our equipment and our vehicles and everything else. So I have a motion, Mr. Chairman, if you're ready to entertain one. I make a motion to approve the commercial fee charged at the Lawrence County Transfer Station at $55 a ton.
There's a motion by Mr. Patterson and a second by Ms. Anderson. Any discussion? I'll just ask formally at this point, would you consider $50?
I'm looking at the convenience that they would have, and then the long range, basically about what, just as stated earlier, and I think the equipment and out there where they're working, I think, the 55, is Clinton is 65, I think $10 less would be, fair, would be fair.
Okay. Ms. Patterson? Thank you. All right, any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor of the motion, $55 per ton signify by raising your right hand. Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you. I do have a request if, at some point in the future, if you, before it's open, if we maybe could approve the sign that outlines what commercial means.
Absolutely.
Obviously, I think for profit, everybody understands that, but having an approved.
As we've said, we probably need to look at more. It's been quite a while since it's been reviewed.
That would be my only caution, make sure that you're consistent with and in compliance with our existing solid waste management plan and ordinances that are already on
So
site.
before it opens.
And that's coming.
And I think there is a definition in there. But yeah.
Okay, next is approval or request for approval of EMS power load maintenance contract with Stryker. At this time, I'll recognize our Director of EMS, Matt Kendall.
Good evening, council. What you have is a request for approval for a preventative maintenance plan for the 2 new power loads that were purchased with capital funds or approved through capital funds for this year's budget. What this does is it allows for a 6-year service plan that covers parts, travel for the service technicians, batteries, and the actual service itself on these power loads every year for the next 6 years. Listed there, I had a cost of $13,335, but it actually came in at $12,463.20. And I listed fund balance. I'm not really sure why I put that there, but it would come out of vehicle maintenance.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation. Is there a motion for such?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Carroll, is there a second? Second by Mr. McDaniel, any discussion?
Go ahead and say.
No, I'm gonna ask you about a warranty in here, you know, you just get them right now, right?
There is a 1-year warranty on them. So this service plan would pick up next year.
Oh, pick up, okay, that's what I want to know, thank you.
Mr. Patterson?
This is already allocated. You have that funds in the budget. We're not adding more.
Correct.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by raising your right hand. 6-0, thank you.
Thank you.
Next is the approval or request to approve the emergency management administrative assistant job description. This time I recognize Joey Avery. I'm sorry. Name just escaped me again.
Casey Bolton.
Mr. Bowles. Thank you, Casey.
Yes.
Sorry, Casey, I apologize.
No worries. I bring to you tonight the job description for the Emergency Management Department, the administrative assistant position. This was developed through Emergency Management, Mr. Avery, and Human Resources. This is a position that was budgeted previously, and it's in the budget. The hourly rate for that is $15.32, Mr. Patterson. It's a grade 14. Are there any questions I can answer for you on this?
Are there any questions of Mr. Bowles? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the job description?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Carroll.
Second.
Second by Mr. Patterson. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of approval of the job description? No, ma'am, I didn't see your hand. I apologize.
You're fine.
Go right ahead, Ms. Anderson.
You're fine. Okay.
Okay, I apologize. I didn't see you. All right, I call for vote again. All in favor, signify by raising your right hand. And those in opposition, like sign.
I'm just abstaining.
And abstain. So vote is 5-0-1 with Councilwoman Anderson abstaining. Thank you, Mr. Bowles.
Thank you.
Next is an update on the 2021 boards and commission status. I don't know, I'm going to look to Mr. McDaniel for some guidance on this. You have received a copy, and I appreciate Ms. Walsh and anyone else that helped you garner all of this. I was a little shocked, to say the least, at how many appointments need to be made, how many have expired or will soon expire. And I think, Mr. McDaniel, you and your committee brought this to our attention. It is abundantly clear that we need some work to do on this. I don't have any recommendations. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. McDaniel right first and kind of look for some guidance from him.
Well, I initially wanted to just for information purposes as well, so we can dive into it, see what boards and commissions we may want to get rid of that maybe haven't been meeting or ineffective, maybe combine some, so we don't have so many people that are out. I think there's several on here that could be combined with either the planning commission or formed into some other commission by combining some. Also, as Attorney Cruikshank said, I think we need to establish a training protocol for the members so that they know exactly what their jobs entail and that it is a definitely serious for the county. If Mr. Cruikshank got anything else to add, I'm not sure exactly the process of dismantling any of these or if any of them are mandated by the state. You got anything else to add?
Many of these are mandated, by state statute. Some can probably be combined. I would ask that I be given the opportunity to do some research on that. And if they can be, all of these are generated by ordinances of this council. So those things are the vast majority of them. But I think we can look at maybe trying to streamline some of it, but as I recommended, I think having training and Ms. Walsh has also said, having them sign an oath, understanding the responsibilities that they have. So I think it's kind of a monumental task right now to get the boards and commissions up to speed with appointees, which falls upon you as council. And then it'll be a task for Ms. Walsh and I to try to put together the training and documentation going forward. But I think it's doable. It's doable. I think get it done by the end of the year will be, we pat ourselves on the back.
I think you and Mr. McDaniel kind of read my mind. I don't think this is a one meeting occurrence. So as I have instructed the COVID-19 to be on the agenda, I will also instruct this to be on the agenda from this point forward until we complete it. So it will be COVID and then this. We'll follow this up. It will give Mr. Cruikshank's time to research that. In my mind, this is an idea, only an idea, that at some point in time, we have a council workshop with the staff member assigned to this committee, if there is a staff member, and the chairperson or chair of the committee in a workshop fashion so that we can give some credence to it and stress the importance, as Mr. McDaniel has said. Those are just some thoughts of mine. I'd like to hear from other council members. Anybody got any other ideas? Does that seem like a good workable plan?
Like I said, it's not gonna be an overnight thing. It's something we have to work on for at least the rest of the year, I'm assuming.
Here's what I will ask you to do, council. Bring this to every meeting. I'm gonna leave mine right here so I don't lose it. That way I know it will be sitting here for me at the next meeting. We got it in an electronic format as well, so please bring these back so we will have these to reference. And Mr. Cruikshank, we'll have you report out at the next meeting.
Sure.
If there's any ability to consolidate or not even have.
Consolidate or eliminate.
Or eliminate, that's what I mean.
Sure.
Okay?
Just clarification to Ms. Cruikshank, the only board I believe that cannot have a representative from the city limits is the planning commission.
Correct.
Okay. And also you don't have to have a representative from your district necessarily.
No, you can, a council member can appoint anybody within the county to serve that position. Theoretically, you would like to have somebody from the district, but a lot of times it's either not possible. You can't find the type of person that.
Or you may have a better qualified candidate.
Correct. But their term serves with your term. So whenever your term of office expires, their term of office expires. It used to be a carryover, so a new council member would end up with somebody else's appointee. Now it's your appointee for your term.
And is that just for planning commission, or is that all boards and commissions? It can be anybody in the county?
That's all. The planning commission is the reason you can't have a city is because they already have it.
But I'm talking about just start the district, so I could somebody from where Shoals.
Sure.
Any other thoughts or ideas?
I got a question.
Go ahead.
When each council member's term expires, the person that's been appointed by either previous person, his expires too.
Correct.
Don't go by his expiration dates anymore.
The expiration date is each council member's term of office, which means you have a staggered 4-3 process over a period of time.
With the exception of like a
Who
health
lets
care.
these people know? Half of them on my way is more than half. I don't know, they are, does the county let these people know, your time's up, or if you want to serve another 3 or 4 years?
I have done letters in the past going out to, I have done letters in the past going out to the members on a committee, asking if they want to be reappointed or resign.
So they're notified. They won't do it.
But as far as the appointment, and I think what Ms. Walsh is talking about, even if they say, yeah, I'd like to serve, again, it's up to you as a council member to appoint them. They don't automatically get to serve just because they want to. So if you have somebody you want to continue to serve, certainly you can reappoint them.
Mine marked in yellow, I've got to find somebody.
Correct.
There's a lot marked in yellow. Matter of fact, some marked in yellow haven't lived in Lawrence County for a number of years, I don't think. Some of them, at least the ones that I saw. So we've got some work to do. Thank you for bringing it to our attention from that committee. And it will be on the agenda as a continuation until we fulfill our responsibilities as county. Okay? Next is moving into new business. The request to approve a Parks Recreation Grant application for a wheelchair accessible playground to be located at the county park. This time I recognize Andy Howell.
Good evening, Chairman and members of council. I'm here tonight to ask permission to submit this grant. It's a Parks Recreation Development Grant. These funds come from bingo taxes collected throughout the state, and it's allocated back to the counties. This grant will be for a fully wheelchair accessible playground at the county park. Really the only one like it in the county, and really the only one like it in the upstate, where a wheelchair will be able to traverse the whole playground. That doesn't come cheap, but it's a lot cheaper because we will be installing it. Obviously, it'll go through the procurement policy. The grant is an 80-20 grant, so we'll be asking for $116,000 from the Parks and Recreation Development grant, and we will have to provide a little bit more than 20% because the cost, I assume, will be a little bit more, probably around $24,000.
Okay, thank you, Andy. Is there a motion to approve the application in the amount of $116,658.66 to be matched with up to $26,000 from the Free and Low Tax Special Projects Fund for the purpose of construction of a wheelchair accessible playground to be installed at Lawrence County Park? So motion by Mr. McDaniel, second by Ms. Anderson. Are there any discussion?
Yes.
Is there any discussion? Mr. Patterson.
Timeline's in there, but what is the fund balance on that account currently? Is that correct?
Oh, to my FILA.
The special projects fund balance.
I don't have that at the top of my head.
Does it help me?
It's getting close we've done a lot of initiatives this year, so but we'll be able to support this initiative.
This was the same funds that we spent $50,000 for the micro grants to be administered.
That's
through the
correct.
chamber. And if I'm not mistaken, was it 600 something thousand, close to 700,000 when we spent that 50,000?
The fund balance was, north of, I don't want to give you numbers, but
Okay, that's
it
fine.
was sufficient. I'm waiting now on the actuals for FY '20 to where I can really answer your question. So I apologize. I'm not able to give you a good concrete answer on that one, but we'll be able to support this project.
Any other? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor signify by raising your right hand. 6-0. Great addition to that park out there, County. Thank you. Next is a request from the Sheriff's Office for a capital reallocation. And this time I'll recognize Sheriff Reynolds.
Mr. Chairman, Council, I came before you prior and asked for the funds to erect a secure fence from behind the sheriff's office. But we had assumed way off the mark. I think y'all appropriated like $10,000, and we find out it's more like $20,000. But in the process, in the meantime of this, we realized that the importance of securing the building itself really truly to us takes priority over the fencing. So I'm asking that y'all would understand us reallocating the money to put an access secure system on the building itself. And that in itself would account for about the money y'all allotted for the fencing. It's $10,000, maybe $600 more, but we'll have to eat that someplace. But securing that building and is be much more beneficial to us with time.
You've heard the recommendation from the sheriff. Is there a motion to approve the reallocation of capital funds in the amount of not to exceed $10,500 for the sole specific purpose of installing access control at the detention center?
So moved.
There's a motion by Mr. McDaniel and a second by Mr. Carroll. I will open the floor for discussion among council members. Any questions?
What number did you say?
Not to exceed $10,500.
Okay, I was just looking at what he, sent in the mail and it was 10,004.
I think they just rounded it up to 500. Is that right?
It's, I think 10.6 is the quote on it, but I mean, if you only go 10,000, then we're gonna have to get a rabbit out of a hat along with $600, I guess. But you, Chairman, you stated the tickets there, it's the sheriff's office itself, not the tickets.
Sir?
Could you amend to cover the estimate so that we're paying for the whole estimate? You didn't have to find money.
Yes.
Ms. Garrett had the
10.6, you said?
Yes.
10,600.
You don't have anything, Sheriff,
I don't have anything.
in money.
This is.
Ma'am, I put my pockets wrong side out and they match that sheriff's office.
But this is coming out of the capital projects in the sheriff's budget, the approved budget, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, we already
It's
approved.
We
coming-
only approved 10,000.
$10,000.
It's coming out of the 6 mills, and it's coming out of the 6 mills for capital that was approved by council during the budget, and $600 is not gonna break the bank.
Okay, I've got Mr. Daniel saying yes, Mr. Carroll, you had the second, you're in agreement with 10.6?
Yes.
Okay, so now the motion is to approve $10,600 of reallocation, the previously approved budgeted item in the capital projects for the sheriff's department.
I don't like it like that, sir, because it wasn't budgeted at 10,000, whatever you're saying. It's in the budget for the capital, it's 10,000.
I noted.
Okay.
But it wasn't
Point
noted.
of order on that, Mr. Chairman. I think because that is a millage-based appropriation that was done at 10,000, I think if you separate it to say the 10,000 that was allocated under the 6 mills would be reallocated as the sheriff has desired, and then the 600 or whatever that number is would come from a different source. Otherwise, you're gonna go contra to what you've already approved in your 6 mills capital. That makes sense.
About as clear as mud to me.
Okay, but I mean, I think it's,
Let's
I think it's.
$600 here, folks.
I'm sorry, I think that the attorney's point is it's an ordinance and it was approved at 10,000. I'm all for the 10.6, the 10, we can't change it unilaterally like that without putting the whole ordinance.
And I appreciate that.
That's my concern. I mean, I realize it's $600, but we just need to do it right.
Okay. I'm gonna try this one more time, Mr. Daniel. Okay. Is there, you have to, we've got a motion in a second. You want to withdraw it?
Ready to withdraw my motion.
Okay, you want to try to state it better than I obviously I didn't state it correctly.
I know it was, is it,
If you can, I would.
is it possible to get the 6 from building the maintenance, not building the maintenance, your maintenance fund?
I mean, we'll,
I'm just trying to.
if you approve this 10,000, yes, we'll make it work.
We're a matter of semantics. at this
I understand
point.
that. We'll make it
Figure
work.
out how to word it. Yeah, I can't word it. Go ahead, Brown, that's shot.
I make a motion to reallocate $10,000 worth of capital from the fencing project at the sheriff's office to the certified security building system at $10,000, and also allocate $600 from fund balance to cover the overage.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion by Mr. Patterson and a second by Mr. Carroll. Now I'll open the floor for discussion for this motion. Hearing none, all in favor, signify by raising your right hand. And those in opposition will like signs. Abstain. Motion passes 5-0-1, with Councilwoman Anderson abstaining. Thank you. Okay. Next, you can stay right there, Sheriff. I believe you have the added item for the JAG grant application.
Yes.
It was seated, it was placed at your table tonight. This is in the amount of $15,737. And it says will supplement and enhance the current training of the sheriff's office with a virtual firearm training simulator. You want to address that, Sheriff?
Well, this simulator, just what it states, it'll simulate a situation, a real life situation where they need to respond in the correct manner. And of all times in today's climate, this would be a very valuable tool for these guys to be able to train underneath these kind of conditions. It seems so lifelike that they know the force and this needs to be handed out to react in the proper way.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion to approve this Justice Assistance Grant application?
So moved to approve.
Got a motion by Mr. Daniel, second by Mr. Patterson. All in favor, signify by raising your right hand. 6-0. Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you.
And next we'll move into 15-minute period set aside for public comment. If you would like to address council, please step forward, state your name, first and last name, your residence, and your position. Seeing none, I will close the public comment time and ask council members if you have any comments. I'll begin with Mr. Carroll first. Mr. Carroll?
None, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Daniel?
I just want to remind everybody that I believe September 30th is the last day to fill out your census, so we still have a few days, or a month or so. Go to my2020census.gov or by calling 844-330-2020. Census is very important to especially rural communities like Lawrence. Complete counts drive funding for our schools, roads, internet access, healthcare, housing, hundreds of critical community programs. Census data is also used for economic development and infrastructure. And we need accurate data to recruit employers to our community. Also, if you want that nice new restaurant, that's how we get it. Showing growth in our community.
Ms. Anderson?
I want to piggyback on what Mr. McDaniel said as far as census participation. It is very important. Right now, the state of South Carolina is 44th in the nation. And Lawrence County is ranking 24th out of the 46 counties that is in South Carolina. And it's just like Mr. McDaniel said, these funds are needed in our community to make our community grow. We need to have funds there for the hospital, for the schools, and everywhere else. And when we do not try to make sure we get those funds, we as a council member or we as a county have to try to come up with those funds. So those funds are available for us only if we make sure that everybody is counted. I like the idea that Councilman Person Campbell, I believe, is doing something at both of the sites where we're having for COVID-19. And maybe, we as the county can do something, if we don't do anything but put up some posters or something around the courthouse, or making sure that when someone would come in to pay a bill, is that have you done your census information? Because a lot of people might need some assistance, even though it's very easy to do, we still might need some. And then they moved it up from, it was October the 31st, and now it's September the 30th, and we really need to make sure that we are trying to get the number. The other thing I wanted to ask, do you have anybody out that's on working at home now? If everybody's back at work?
Everybody's back.
Everybody's back at work, okay, and, that's it. I had other questions for the courthouse.
I would like to follow up with the census. Joey, could you step forward for a minute? I hate to put you on the spot, but I'm going to. Is there any way that we could do a reverse 911 call several times to remind folks for the census, to complete the census?
We can give that a shot, yes, sir. I've never done a county-wide, but it'd be worth a shot.
It would absolutely be worth it if we could do that.
Okay.
It doesn't, of course, I don't want to impede the response of the 911 operators, but if you could check into that, and I don't think it would cost us anything since we have a system in place.
It would not. We could do a little media blitz through the local papers to let them know that on this particular day that we will be doing this. Do it on a Sunday afternoon instead of a Saturday afternoon, something like that. But we can do something like that.
Okay, if you would check on that, I think that would be a help in the right direction. Thank you, Joey, for that. Mr. Patton?
Just to echo what Councilwoman Anderson, Councilman McDaniel said, how important the census is. I procrastinated myself. I did mine about 3 weeks ago, but it took 90 seconds online to do it. It took no time at all. I put it off with hoping to take 5 minutes like the paper said, but it literally took 90 seconds. So it's easy if people just take time to do it. And also we thanked the sheriff earlier for a couple of missing person cases they were able to quickly handle. There was a third that happened, that was resolved this morning, that came in last night, that they were able to find the gentleman missing. So they happen all the time, and all of our offices work well together to remedy them. So we've been very fortunate lately in the county to have positive outcomes on all of them. So that's all, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. John? Okay, if not, at this time, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. We have no executive session. Is there a motion? Motion by Mr. Patterson. Second by Mr. Carroll. All in favor of adjournment, signify by raising your right hand. 6-0, we are adjourned.
This one has.